MrBeast's sidekick Tyson reveals they have started life-saving hormone replacement therapy.
Why didn't it look like he was unhappy with his gender when he felt comfortable looking like a masculine man in front of millions of people for many years? The famous YouTuber MrBeast's friend Tyson just came out as transgender, so let's talk about it today. This is one of the ways that Chris came out as trans. It's never too late to start being yourself. Bro, WTF happened? HRT and it's only been 2 months. Apparently a lot of his fans are mad, and if you look at TikTok you would find fans creating these videos of him about how he used to look versus how he looks now. And you know them being disappointed. You know what? I was so shocked to find out that he actually received backlash for coming out as trans. That not all of his fans were happy and supportive and just blindly affirmed his new gender identity. I think the reason why some of his fans are disappointed is because when you look at Chris's old tweets, you can hardly recognize him. Just by reading the old tweets, Chris didn't seem like a woke person, politically correct, or anything in that lane. So I think that his fans are so shocked that he went from writing these types of tweets to this. Just a heads up, someone finding themselves does not always mean that they're now X identity. However, this is a great time to say, trans rights are human rights. Let people exist and be happy. And if this makes you mad, enjoy being on the wrong side of history, looking back. Informed consent HRT saved my and many others' lives. The hurdles gender non-conforming people have to jump through to get life-saving gender-affirming healthcare in a first world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies. Wow, I cannot believe that's the same person. And I know people change their appearance sometimes and change their opinions, but this is like night and day. And I love how the tweet he's responding to. Viagra is gender-affirming care. Hair transplants are gender-affirming care. Breast implants are gender-affirming care. What? It is so embarrassing that some people are comparing Viagra to getting your eggplant removed. And you must be very delusional if you don't see that there's a difference between putting breast implants into a woman and then removing the breasts of a woman. And you know I'm gonna debunk this tweet. So, there's something about calling a gender transition life-saving that doesn't sound right to me. I haven't given it a lot of thought until I talked to Shapeshifter, a very smart detransitioner, about it, and he said it perfectly.
I do see some trans people say that it's absolutely saved their lives and it's the best thing that ever happened to them. And I just want to clarify that making money through like being trans, through a certain look, it's not the same as it saved your life. Unless you had attempts recorded and then after transition you no longer have those attempts for years, it's a very strong statement to make.
You can't claim that you getting a gender transition was life-saving if you haven't tried to off yourself. And as harsh as that sounds, that's how it works if you choose these words. A little personal fact about myself because I think it's relevant. I have never thought about ending my own life and I've never tried it. So I cannot claim that my gender transition was life-saving, but what I can actually say about my personal experience with the gender transition is that the transition gave me a normal life. It gave me peace, happiness, and the feeling that now I'm ready for life. I'm ready to be an adult. But to claim that it saved my life when I didn't try to end it in the first place doesn't really make sense. But according to trans activists, it's apparently not enough to say that for some individuals, their lives would be improved by receiving a medical transition. No, they have to say that it saves many people's lives. And if you are against that we have easy access to the medical transition, you want these lives to end. And I think that's a disgusting rhetoric. And the last sentence just make people make their own decisions about their own bodies. Can you name any other situation where the patient can decide what type of medicine that they want and are generally in control of their own medical treatment rather than the doctors? No, you can't, because that's not how it's supposed to work. And the last thing I want to say to this tweet, it's really hard for a person with mental health issues to make informed decisions. That's why we have doctors, that's why we have psychiatrists, psychologists, you name it. And I mean this with love. It's not a patient with mental health issues responsibility if they get the wrong type of medicine and the wrong type of treatment, that's the doctor's responsibility. People who are not feeling well seek help for a reason. Maybe cross-sex hormones can save very few people's lives. However, as it is right now in today's society, it's also ruining a lot of other people's lives. It's ruining the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of detransitioners across the world because they were drawn into trans ideology when they were young, and they blindly received cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and even surgeries, but now regret it as adults, so they have to live with all the consequences for the rest of their lives. That's why we need this thing called gatekeeping. That's why we have to be careful handing out medical transitions.
Mr. Beast's sidekick Chris Tyson reveals they have started life-saving hormone replacement therapy. Tyson explained they had struggled with gender dysphoria for years, and notes how their physical appearance has already started to change after 2 months of treatment.
I have my doubts, not only because he's spreading misinformation about transsexualism, but I find it weird how Chris is claiming he's been dealing with gender dysphoria for years, and how going on cross-sex hormones saved his life, when he didn't have a problem with looking 100% like a masculine man on the internet for years. And I know it's all a process. I mean, I used to look feminine too, but I was 14. The minute I started to understand what was going on up in my own head, I stopped looking feminine. Or actually, I stopped a little bit before that, because I naturally didn't want to be looking like a woman anymore. So why is it that we keep seeing these men who look like the manliest men now transitioning into women? And as someone who's dealing with gender dysphoria, and I know people who also deal with that disorder, you cannot be a biological man and deal with gender dysphoria while looking like this. The psychological distress you will get if you actually dealt with gender dysphoria while looking like this is something that I cannot even comprehend. And again, if these hormones saved his life, why didn't it look like he was dying? Why didn't it look like he was unhappy with himself and his gender when he felt comfortable looking like a masculine man in front of millions of people for many years? It could be that he was in denial for many years. It was a very difficult journey for him. Who knows? But we gotta remember that there's a possibility that he's lying about having gender dysphoria, about cross-sex hormones were life-saving to him. It is a possibility that trans people lie, and just people in general, but you get my point. We gotta look at all possibilities here. My very first reaction when I heard that Chris came out as trans was, this gotta be a PR stunt. I think these types of people, without putting them in a box, would be the type to lie about this stuff for attention, or to make a point. I don't know. But if it is a PR stunt, I don't really get it. Maybe you do? Write it in the comments down below. A lot of people who talk about this story and are critical of trans ideology focus a lot on how Chris is a father, and he's divorced from his wife, and they describe this whole coming out story as him abandoning his family. So a lot of people say that he is a selfish, a bad father, a bad husband, a bad man. And listen, I completely understand where these people are coming from. I just gotta say I don't agree. We have no idea what's going on between him and his ex-wife. We do not know why they divorced a year ago. We don't know if he divorced his wife in order to transition, if he wants to live his life as a woman and she's not attracted to women, or a man who claims to be a woman. How can they stay married? And we can find pictures of Chris and his son being together, so I don't agree with this whole he's abandoning his family. I'm concerned about him being a YouTuber, him being an internet personality, and a lot of kids and young people watch Mr. Beast and him. You look amazing, Chris. I have so much respect for you being your truest self. The haters will be loud, but I promise there's millions of queer kids who look up to you. Keep being yourself. And this describes my concerns perfectly. Millions of queer kids, whatever that means, are gonna look up to him. I don't necessarily think it's a good idea that children are watching Chris Tyson and follow his transition and read his tweets that are rooted in trans activism. Kids can actually look up to normal people. Kids can actually survive and be happy if they don't see trans everywhere. A child should not be exposed to transsexualism. It is extremely complicated, and kids are not ready for that conversation. As I said, I personally find it fishy that this person comes out as trans, but let's see what happens. I really want your opinion, so let me know in the comments down below if you think that Chris Tyson is a trans woman. Remember that we don't know people's family business, and maybe it's not our place to be involved in that, and we have to talk about the things that are actually happening instead. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you want, you can support me with a small donation under Super Thanks. It helps me out so much. You have no idea how grateful I am. So thank you. Remember, you can become a member of this channel where I make exclusive content decided by you. So come join us, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.